Hello and welcome to HDFC Mutual Fund's Laxmi for Laxmi initiative, a financial empowerment program for women and by women. Here, women distributors share the unique behavior of women investors and the hurdles they overcome in their financial journeys. Join us as we empower each other in the world of mutual fund investments. Hello and welcome. This is Larissa Fernand on behalf of HDFC Mutual Fund. With me in conversation today is Srikala Bhashyam of Vithadwaitha Financial Services. Srikala was a business journalist and equity research analyst and has been in the fund distribution business for 17 years. Srikala, thank you so much for joining me today.
Morning, guys. A pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Srikala, you were into research analysis, you were into business journalism at a time when women were not working in the financial arena. So can you tell me something about the role your family played in pushing you in this direction?
Yeah, like as you said, I think, 17 years I have been in this business. So my career started more than 30 years ago to get back to the research days. So, as you said, very few women were in this industry. And from equity research, in fact, I got this job because I knew two words: stocks and shares. So the interviewer asked me, "Do you know stock market?" I said, "Yeah, my dad used to invest, so I'm aware of it." So that got me the job. So you can imagine, by being aware of two words, you could get a job in the 1990s in equity research, and more so in Bangalore. I think places like Bombay, Delhi could be different. In Bangalore, not many were tracking stock markets those days. And family, well, my dad was an investor. I think somewhere it was there in the DNA. So I got into this equity research because numbers and money and markets always fascinated me. So that's how I got into that industry. And then from there, it was journalism. I always wanted to be a writer. And so that took me to journalism. And, I was with many of the mainline papers like Business Line, Financial Express. And there were days when I would be the only lady journalist in a press conference. So people would say Srikala and gentlemen.
But your family did play a very important role then. Your father was an investor. Were you
Yes, I
involved
think,
in investing?
well, I didn't have that much of money, but the moment I got into equity research, well, I started picking up shares. I have seen some of the shares in single digit, which are all now 2000 plus.
Wow. And have you encouraged your daughter along the same path?
Well, yes, of course, but I mean, she doesn't have the time to invest herself, do the market tracking. But yes, I think I have taught her it's very important to, invest at an early stage. So she's a working professional herself, is a management consultant, but she leaves all the money management to me. So she's an active investor, doesn't waste money.
Do you find that a lot of professional women who are very successful in their fields are not very good at managing money? Do you find any, is it that when you're professional, you will be very good? Is it an assumption to make?
Not really. You'll be surprised. I know a couple of my clients who are CXOs and CEOs, but when it comes to investing, for some reason, I think they don't apply their mind, or maybe they just think that it's not important at this stage of life. I mean, career, they're bogged down by career. Yes, so many, but in fact, both men and women, I would say, are not good at investing, which is surprising. And unfortunately, more so with women. I think women think that, they don't pay so much attention to wealth creation, I would say.
Why? What holds them back?
I have a feeling I think you're being told in childhood itself, money management not yours. It's like, I always give this example, it's like car driving. Women are told that by default we are not good car drivers. We don't know, we don't have the direction sense, we're not good at it. So leave it, however good you are. And also, I think somewhere, it's before marriage, it's your parent who controls your money, and afterwards, it is a spouse who takes care of it. But gladly, that is changing. There are more women who are applying their mind and managing their money.
How do you convince women to manage their money? What do you tell them?
Interestingly, women are very good savers, but they're not good investors. So they know to save, they don't spend unnecessarily. They're very meticulous and careful with their money. Maybe that's why they don't invest. They're so careful, they're very worried that, I mean, if you invest, you could lose the money or it's very risky. So, being a woman, it's very easy for me. So, I always tell them these stories. The biggest example is inflation. All of us are victims of inflation. So I tell them, unless you grow your money above inflation, and that is possible through only few products, and mutual fund is one of them. So that is through that we are able to convince. And having seen the success of their money management or other wealth creation, then they get convinced. And one lady refers to another lady, and that's how, in fact, 40 to 50% of our client base is women.
Have you seen a change in the mindset of women over these 2 decades that you're in the business? What has
Definitely.
changed? What hasn't changed?
I tell you, I mean, 20 years ago, when we were talking to women, it would be like, I'll ask my father or I'll ask my husband, he takes care of it. Today, women are themselves are taking care of those decisions. And more importantly, I think the relationships are changing. Today, all of us are witness to it. People have to be economically independent. They are independent, and relationships are changing over a period of time. So women are realizing that they have to manage their money themselves. I would say we deal with more single women than in the past. So that is kind of putting pressure, and people are getting ready that I should know to manage my money, and if things go wrong, that's a big change.
And what hasn't changed?
What hasn't changed? I think that initial nervousness and that hesitance, I mean, very few women, I would say, will come and say, like, I want to grow my money. I mean, this is the thing, and I'm ready to take this. No, that hasn't changed. It's still that, baby steps when it comes to investing.
In terms of risk, they are a
Yeah.
bit risk averse.
Yeah. Still, the
How,
risk aversion is there.
how do you convince your male clients to include the women in their family? Are they open to it?
You will be surprised. I would say 20 years ago when we started, they were more open to including them. I feel now it's kind of, people want to keep it separate. In fact, there are many women clients who don't want their portfolio to be sent to as a family portfolio. They want to manage it independently. That is a big change I see.
And what's the reason for it? Is it that lack of trust or what?
I think I would say it's lack of trust and the way relationships are changing. People are very little cautious when it comes to relationship, like they want to keep it to themselves. Yeah, and it's because of the lack of trust. You never know how these marriages work. That element of doubt is there today in the younger generation. It's not
Oh,
taken
that's not a
for
good sign.
granted. It's not at all a good sign. I mean, you can look at it both ways. So maybe it's also the case where, let me manage my money myself. Why should I give it to someone else? I'm smart enough. I mean, that is a positive way of looking at it. But I would say the distrust factor has gone up now, especially in the last decade.
So how does the couple manage common goals then if both are managing their portfolios separately in a marriage?
See, it's not the entire, I mean, the universe is like that. There is still, luckily, 70 to 80% still put together. There's a common portfolio. They write down their goals and things like that. But within that overall universe, I would say a lady still wants some amount of money for herself. For instance, she wants to travel. There are couples, the husband may not be interested in traveling, wife is interested in traveling. So she wants to put aside her money for her luxuries, her travel. So that is a change we are seeing. And there are women who want to buy a property in their name. Another biggest change, there's also the good thing about this. We have a couple of clients who want to gift a fancy car to their husband for milestone birthdays. So that is also there. That is a sweet spot about it.
These women who don't manage the money and their spouses do it, what happens if there is a divorce or a death? Then isn't it a bit detrimental to them, to their mindset?
It is. We have handled a couple of ugly cases where these people didn't do that, didn't separate the money, and we had one unfortunate incident where the couple was separated, and the death of the spouse happened, the husband, and all the money, as you know, even his mother is eligible for that wealth. So that's the most unfortunate. I would say people should have both. I think there should be common goal. Even if you have a common goal, have that understanding, that it's to for both of you. And if you still, you should also have independently your own money management skills and have that money in your own name.
You said you have a lot of single women also as clients. Has any of them ever come to you with a to be spouse to have a conversation of money before marriage? Has it ever happened?
Not really. In fact, I did it. In fact, when me and my husband married, before our marriage, we both, started an RD those days. And the banker guy asked, I said, nominee is my boyfriend. She said, what do I write the relationship? I said, I'm going to marry him. Is that okay? So, but these days I don't find it. To be
Would you
husband, I
encourage
mean,
it?
they do come for, till date, I would say I've just seen one couple, who wanted to save for their marriage. Over 1,000 clients, with only one example I can give you, where the couple came before marriage and planned together and put the money for their marriage.
But wouldn't you, isn't it good to have these conversations before marriage?
It is, I think it's very important, and at least that wealth should tie you down so that you have no choice, you will get married, at least for the sake of the money. Jokingly, of course.
So if you have male clients, do you encourage them to bring their wives along for the meeting? And do they agree?
Yes, we always tell them that you should have with your partner, have this money discussion. In fact, nowadays we have started telling people that once your child is 18, 20, you should also inform them where your money is. Post COVID, we all have seen what can happen. So we tell them that because it's also important your children know, not because they get this comfort zone that dad is sitting or parents are sitting with a lot of money. They should also know, and I think managing money is a skill. It should also be inculcated at an early age.
I want to go back to something you said earlier about women working and stuff like that. A lot of them are very confident in their jobs, in their roles, but they don't have that confidence when it comes to managing money.
True.
So what can be done to make them more confident? What makes a woman confident?
I think first is, I think the instrument or the product you are dealing with, they're investing in. Like for instance, take the example mutual fund. See, it's one of the most secure, regulated product. I think that comfort women have to get. I think the basic problem most of the investors are conditioned, at least in the past, is that you want to see you put X amount of money. That fixed return gives them the lot of comfort, which in our mutual funds that can't be given. But then we need to say that security is not only in terms of fixed return, it's also beyond that. You need to see how it is regulated, how safe the money is. Nobody can take away your money, and in that education has to happen, which I think with mutual fund sahi hai campaigns, I think that basic selling has already been done. People know mutual funds today. You don't have to sell mutual fund as a concept. That fear of losing money is what making them kind of wary of making their decisions themselves. I think once you teach them or tell them, give them that comfort, don't worry, nothing will happen to this money, then they're okay with it. And the volatility, like whoever comes to us, investment, we tell them, if it's less than 5 years, above 5 years, 10 years, there are different kind of instruments. Once you tell them, then they kind of understand. But nothing like you do it yourself and see the results, and only then they get comfortable. So that Shubharamb is always a little tough.
Has there ever been a case where you have your client, your male clients, and his wife comes to you with a little money and says, "This is my own money. Can you help me manage it?" Has that
Yes.
happened?
Yes, yes. Many of them do that. Like today, I think, luckily, because they're all moving around in their own peer group. And if someone has made nice money, in fact, classic example, I would say in this case is a lady came to me. She said, I get rental income in my own name. I want to, manage this myself. Can you help me? So we introduced her to SIP. I think that sense of achievement comes, that both financial and economic freedom, when you manage it yourself, it immense. So people are embracing that. No, they want to do it themselves, but of course they don't come to you with bigger amount. They come to you with smaller amounts.
And have you had a case where the woman has come to manage the finances because her husband has left it completely in her hands?
Yes, we have plenty. I
Oh,
think
yeah?
maybe because we have two women managing. Vithadwaitha is managed by me and Rupa Shankar. I think two women managing it, that is also giving them the confidence. So there are many women. In fact, the ones who do like that are very aggressive investors. I think either women don't take risk at all or it's the other extreme. I have a client who demands 25 to 30% per annum return IRR.
And their spouses are cool with it, with the women
Yeah.
managing the money. Yeah?
Yes, they are cool with it. Because they say, she is good at it. And in fact, there are many men who say, I don't understand, she manages everything. You also have that case. But then that percentage of population is small.
When it comes to women who are probably insecure, very confident, do you think they prefer working with a women advisor or not necessarily?
I think maybe it's women want the comfort, like I feel, you should treat them. I mean, don't kind of, what I would say, I would put it this way, that the lack of knowledge should not be highlighted or don't put them down. I think they feel that more comfortable with us and they're much more open to women advisors. So that works, I suppose.
It's the empathy, is it?
Empathy, exactly, empathy. And also I think maybe you can relate to it, that emotionally, you're much, as you said, you're much more empathetic to them, and maybe they feel comfortable that I understand her line of thinking. So in fact, even in our Bangalore, in our advisor community, I think women advisors obviously have more women clients compared to men, I would say.
At what age should a woman start investing, or what stage of life?
The moment you start earning.
Immediately.
Yeah.
Okay. What would you like to tell women out there if you had to give them two, three pointers about managing your money? I'd like to end with this. What advice would you give women of any walk of life?
I would say you are smart enough, you are smart in you are managing your home, which itself is management of various aspects. Okay. And even if you don't, and we are all multitask people, our brain can take more than one or two things. We are wired for that. So if you're working or not working, learn to manage money because economic independence is very important, and you don't lack the skill sets. You have all the skill sets, you just have to get started with it. So don't fear, and even if you make mistakes, it doesn't matter. You may make couple of wrong investments, doesn't matter, but ultimately you will figure it out because we are all smart enough to figure it out. So it's not a rocket science. Just get started, and once you do it, you will continue to do it.
How did your mother approach it when you were becoming financially independent, when you were managing your money? Was she very encouraging about it?
In fact, my mom was very particular that me and my sister are economically independent. She always encouraged us that we should have a career, and she was so supportive of it. And I think some way that I also inculcated to my daughter. In fact, when she was in fifth standard, class five, I would give her 50 rupees pocket money. Okay. And I used to tell her that whatever you want to buy, I'll give you 50 rupees. Apart from what is statutorily as a parent, I buy you. You should save up and you buy whatever you want. I'm not going to ask you questions. It's up to you to buy. And you won't believe those new things, stationery and toys demand, which used to be always there, it completely stopped because she realized that, that 50 rupees, it's when she has to spend and buy new things, those unwanted purchases stopped automatically. And she and her nephew, I mean her cousin brother, would save up and buy chocolates and Mountain Dew. I think that money management, just to, I mean, it's an anecdotal reference. To cut it short, I would say, we should teach our kids how to manage money themselves, start it at as early as possible. And that
So I
value
go
for money concept will come.
so I go back to my early point then. That means the role a family plays is very important.
Absolutely. I would
How
say, I think every family should, as early as possible. Unfortunately, our education system, we teach everything, not money management, which is the most important skill as you grow older. I think if the academics doesn't teach, I think family should teach them. In fact, I know a couple of families, the moment their children are 18, they start giving them annual gifts and they're made to invest in their own name.
Wow, that's nice.
Yeah.
Got it. Anyway, Srikala, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate this.
Thank you. It is a pleasure talking to you.
This is Larissa Fernand on behalf of HDFC Mutual Fund. Thank you so much for watching.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme related documents carefully.